Savvy Business Radio, drawing out the best from our guest with our host, Christina Nichman.
Hello, this is your host, Christina from Savvy Radio. Thank you for joining us for our Heartbeat of the World series, where we're bringing you some of the top experts around the globe to talk about some of the greatest challenges facing our country and the world. Our guest today is Sara McGlocklin, lawyer and caregiver of her 2-year-old daughter, Marian. Her daughter was recently diagnosed with NPC, also known as childhood Alzheimer's, an incurable, ultimately fatal disease that causes dementia. Today, Sara shares some of her secrets for staying sane in times of crisis and challenges. Find out more and help Marian today at hopeformarian.org. Hi, Sara. Welcome to Savvy Business Radio. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you.
Well, I'm very, very grateful to have you out here. I was introduced to you by your PR agent, and she told me that you are doing some amazing work to help find a cure for an illness that I'm sure most of us don't even know about, Niemann-Pick type C, aka NPC. It is a degenerative disease that affects the cells in people's bodies, but unfortunately your poor, beautiful daughter, Marian, has come with being diagnosed with this, and now you're on crusade to help not only your child, but others out there who are dealing with this awful, awful illness to help find a cure. And they can go to hopeformarian.org. So you're also going to come today and share with our audience how to deal and maintain balance in the midst of crazy stress. And we all have different kinds of stress. It might be a crisis of a sick child. It might be a loss of a job. It could be a number of things, but you're going to share some tips with our audience. But before we go to all of that, share a little bit about your backstory and what brought you to where we are today and starting your organization, Hope for Marian?
Sure. Well, this is something that I think like most people, never would have anticipated finding myself in a position like this or coming out, kind of being in the middle of it, standing on my own 2 feet still. It's been really challenging. And we have a family of 4. We have a 4-year-old daughter, Emily, who does not have NPC. And then our 2-year-old daughter, Marian, got diagnosed with NPC at 18 months. And what led to the diagnosis is she had some mild developmental delays, a little bit of a speech delay, a little bit of a gross motor with her physical skills delay. And that prompted us to take her to a neurologist, just, to double check, make sure everything was okay. And then at about a year old, they found an enlarged spleen, and that rang the alarm bells that this could be a genetic problem for something called a storage disorder, which NPC is a type of storage disorder. And we, of course, were hoping for the best, but did just a ton of testing, found out in February that Marian does, in fact, have NPC, which is a neurodegenerative condition. It varies, so they can't give a life expectancy or lifespan, but typically the kids Marian's age who are showing symptoms don't live more than 5 to 10 years after getting the diagnosis, and it's completely debilitating. They lose their ability to walk, to move, to eat, muscle control. They have seizures. It's just horrible. They could get dementia. So when we found out, it was like the floor fell out from under us, and another parent actually told us, you could do nothing, you could put her in hospice, or you could fight it. And that's what we decided to do, that we wanted to fight. So we went back and forth to Chicago for experimental treatments. Now we're doing them at our home hospital, Children's Hospital Los Angeles. It's helping her tremendously. She couldn't walk. Now she could walk. Wow. And then we also just had an outpouring of support. We're kind of private people, so our instinct was to kind of keep this private, but we decided that we couldn't go this alone. We needed to reach out for help and let people know that we were hurting and that that we needed the help. And we kind of put that out there, and just had a lot of outpouring of support, which has really helped lift us forward and keep us going. And we started our nonprofit, Hope for Marian, to help raise money to find more treatments and a cure.
Yeah. And wow, we were talking before the interview, what a blessing it is that so many of us that make it to adulthood, because I mean, just from the standpoint of when I was a child, I got into some crazy mischief, and I know a lot of children do. And that alone, where I'm amazed that we made it to adulthood. But then with all the fact that our bodies are so intricate, and that in most cases we're balanced and we were able to live a healthy life, most of us. And that when there's just one little thing off, like you told me, this particular disorder is one gene is off, and that causes all this problem with the body not being able to eliminate the cells, get rid of waste. And you think, wow, that one thing could cause so much tragedy for so many people. But it's such a blessing that so many people are able to live healthy. What has been your biggest takeaway going through all this? Have you kind of woken up to, you know, a presence of mind that you didn't have beforehand, that this kind of made you have more how should you say it, like excitement for life, because now you realize just how precious it is?
Yeah, I think that I do. And at the same time, it's really sad. And I do go to kind of sad places a lot. Yeah. But what I really try, the kind of world I really try and stay in, is not focusing on what we don't have, which is certainty about the future. Yeah. And, you know, even knowing whether our daughter will live or not, we don't have that. You know, there's lots of things that we don't have. There's lots of things that everyone doesn't have. But what I try and do is focus on being grateful for what we do have, and just trying to keep my mind on thinking of all the wonderful things that we do have that we don't focus on a lot. And the other thing I try and do is advice that someone gave me, which I have found really helpful, is to follow my heart and not my head. And that I do find that when I just try and check in with myself and stay focused or centered, which it sounds kind of weird for me to say because I don't do yoga, I don't do any of that stuff, but I try and be self-aware. And when I kind of check in with myself and follow what my heart is feeling, I feel so much more peaceful and motivated and happy than I do when I kind of let my mind go and I worry about, well, what if this and this is going to happen, and all of my anxiety and the fear that tends to be more negative. And if I go there, then it's hard to function. And, you know, ultimately these are our lives and this is what we're given, and we could do what we can, you know, we do what we can to push through, but, you know, I think up to us to try and enjoy it along the way, even though there's a lot that's not very enjoyable.
Yeah, and that's life. There's going to be really awful moments. And it's funny that you say that, because I think we can get tied up in our thoughts, no matter what our lives are. Even if our lives are going fairly okay, we can get stuck in the small stuff. And then, I don't know about you, but for me, I'll be going through something and my mind will just get focused on this negative thing. And your mind will just keep spinning it until it becomes this huge mountain, when really it's a molehill. It's really not a big deal. Yeah. And I, for me, when I've had crises come into my life, it kind of like, oh, what was I making a big deal about that other thing when it was like potatoes, you know? And you're like, let me chill out on the small things. But I don't know about you, but I've also known, Sara, that when I step outside my normal existence, like there was I think in my 20s, I decided to take a whole month off and go to Spain and backpack it. Like every other day, go to a new town. And I was just kind of living by the moment. I wasn't like thinking of a schedule and I have to go to work. And it was like my whole perspective opened up, and I became so much happier because I stopped focusing on the silly things we think about every day. Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I took myself out of my normal comfort zone, my normal space, and it kind of opened me up to being a lot more positive. Have you found anything like that for yourself?
Well, I wish I could go backpacking through Spain. I think I would find that very helpful.
Yeah, right about now, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. And, you know, I'd like to bring 2 healthy kids with me and my husband. But I think that what you said is so true, that it's all relative. It really is. And, you know, it's just all relative. I know our situation. I know that there's a lot of families out there who have worse situations, and that they would probably trade us just like we look at other families and see, oh, you know, they seem quote unquote luckier, but it's really not the case. It's all just different shades of gray. It's all shades of the same thing, which is bad. and
Yeah.
hard and heartbreaking. I guess in terms of like getting a new perspective, I think when, for better or worse, like seeing, kind of joining this rare disease community that I had kind of been on the periphery of for a little bit of time, because I work for children in the foster care system. So I've been kind of exposed to a lot of really sad and heartbreaking situations and, you know, high intensity situations. So, and I've always just had an interest in child advocacy. That's what I do. And so being always been interested in some of the rare disease stories that affect children in particular that I had kind of seen over the years. And I've actually been unknowingly following some kids that have related conditions. But then when I became part of the rare disease community, it did give a new perspective, because I saw what people are facing and trying to push through and power through. And I think for NPC, when I realized that before we knew it was NPC, we knew it was probably a storage disorder, and 95% of them don't have treatments or a cure. So we're extremely lucky that there is an experimental treatment that does seem to be effective, and it doesn't cure it, but it slows it down.
Okay.
When we were facing that, kind of like the worst of the worst situation, that your child would have something fatal and there would be nothing to do. And then we joined the community and we found out that we could get access to that, but then also to see other families that got their diagnosis later, or their children passed earlier before there was anything, or they have similar conditions but there's no treatment or cure for them. It really opens your eyes to how difficult things can be.
Yeah. Yeah. But what you're mentioning here, that is really awesome for anyone going through any type of crisis. And I've seen it myself. My 1 year when I was in my 20s, 8 people in my family died of cancer. I was like, whoa, what is going on with my family and cancer? It does not mix. So I became obsessed with understanding the whole workings of what the heck is this cancer stuff and how come everyone in my family seems to die of it. I joined a support group for people with terminal illnesses and cancer. And it was great to be around other people, families, and other people going through it. But I think that, you know, today when you're going through any type of situation, being that there are support groups where we can come together as community to help each other through it, our families and each other through it, is a great resource for anyone out there, regardless of what crisis or situation you might be going through.
Yes, definitely. And that's actually what I was kind of thinking about when I was talking earlier, is that when my daughter was a baby, my older daughter was a baby, my mom died very unexpectedly from cancer. And right before she died, my uncle died. And then right after she died, my aunt died. And then another uncle died. And right before my mom died, my best friend died. And it was just, you know, hit after hit after hit. And then we get the NPC diagnosis for Marian. And that actually, when my mom was sick, and I had a new baby, and I think when I look back on it, I think I probably had a little bit of postpartum depression, but it was so hard to tell at the time because my mom was really sick. And too, so that's normal to feel really sad. And I didn't really reach out for help in a way. Like I kind of just, I just felt like, okay, this is on me to handle, and I need to handle this myself. And this is what's happening. And, you know, it's happening to my mom, and I didn't take good care of myself, and I didn't even tell anyone how much I was hurting. And I just tried to act like everything was okay. And it really was a big kind of like setback in terms of like personal growth and development. It was really hard on my family too. And it wasn't until I kind of learned from that experience and learned from going through the heartbreak of losing family members and good friends, that you can't go it alone. You can, but not very well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think we were meant to do it alone. I really think that humans are a social animal, and we're meant to be together in community. I think that's where we strive best. Some of the things I see the saddest, I live in New York City, and some of the things I see the saddest is some of the older women and men live by themselves. They become almost hermits, and it's a sad existence, because as humans, we were meant to be outside of being social and community. Why do you think Facebook is so super popular? It's because of that social aspect that we all need. Now, what I pulled out from what you said that's so important for anyone going through any type of crisis to help deal with the stress and running their business or keeping on going to work every day is remembering that there's a community out there that you can reach out to, and to reach out for help, And lastly, most importantly, that you mentioned, to really take care of yourself, because if you have a family and you don't take care of yourself, then, well, you can't take care of your family.
Yeah.
Starts with you first.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a sinking ship if you go down.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because as women, I think in particular, we're nurturers, so we put everyone first. You know, I've for years I've always done that in my life. You know, I mean, my friends are suffering when my family, with all those people were getting cancer in that one year. I was like, oh, I got to help everyone, and I was not taking care of myself. And your health begins to go down, and then now how can you help people? So it starts with helping yourself so that you can help others around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want people to get involved and donate. They can go to hopeformarian.org, correct?
Yes.
I was going to say, share what the challenge is and exactly, besides donating, there's also a challenge on your website. Share with that.
Okay. So hopeformarian.org is our 501c3 that we're setting up a nonprofit and every single dollar that comes in is going to research for a cure. And we are so lucky that scientists are really urgently working on a cure for NPC, and they're making a lot of progress, but it's going to be a close call for Marian and other kids live today, whether or not they're going to be here to benefit from that or not. So truly every dollar, every person that hears about NPC, every person that goes to the website, every share on Facebook, it truly can make a difference for these kids' lives. And these are kids that do not have to die, but are horrifyingly on that trajectory, which is something that's really hard to wrap my mind around. So but we're trying, there's a lot of reason to hope. And so that's what we're working on. And we started in collaboration with a group called Do Love Live, which is a group of military veterans. And they reached out and offered to kind of help us get Marian's story out there. And they did it all pro bono, free of charge. And they created the video that's on the website, hopeformarian.org, and they helped us come up with the No Pucker Challenge. And the No Pucker Challenge has the same initials as NPC, and it's kind of, the idea is it's a viral campaign where you take a bite of a lemon, try not to pucker, but it's okay if you do. And that's the funniest part, is when people pucker, and post it, take a picture of it or take a video of it and post it on social media and tag a couple friends and do hashtag No Pucker Challenge. And then the idea is that if you get challenged, you could either donate, make a small donation, or do the challenge yourself and keep it going. And it's been really fun to do that. And we had some celebrities take it on, which is so exciting and really surreal, actually. Maria Menounos was the first celebrity to do it, and Ben Higgins from The Bachelor, and Sean Johnson, East, and we've had a bunch of fire departments, and Lehigh University, where I went to college, their athletics department did it, and some of their sports teams, and it's been really fun. And actually, a nurse in Florida named Sean Griffith, he is a friend of my friend's husband, and he heard Marian's story, and he actually just cycled across the state of Florida he's a former Mr. Universe, I think, competitor. So if you could picture this big, muscular male nurse wearing a neon yellow spandex jersey, cycling across the state of Florida, stopping at hospitals and taking the No Pucker Challenge along the way. And he says he's going to do it every year. He's so amazing. So all sorts of really, really fun and empowering and positive things have come from that.
That's amazing. And I'm so grateful that scientists are working really diligently to find a cure for this, because it seems like such a simple thing that if we can help the body relieve its waste, then bam, these kids and adults could all get better. And it's amazing. I think we are making great strides in science, especially in neurology and biology, and figuring out a lot of ways to deal with some of these most horrible illnesses. And can I ask you though, Marian, when you just said, we're going to fight, we're not going to lay down and just take this, what made you and your family decide to do the non-for-profit in particular and fight this way, with starting this and getting the word out this way?
That's a really good question. So at first we were just shell-shocked, and we felt like we need to share her story. We need to share her story. We want to share her story. And we set up a GoFundMe initially, and we knew right away that we wanted to raise money for research, because NPC is a rare disease and is a small disease, what's considered a small disease. It really relies on family foundations to help do a large bulk of the fundraising for research. And that's the success of families in the past doing that and helping get some agencies like the NIH and universities interested in researching it as well is why we're able to benefit from having hope for Marian, that why she has a chance to be part of the first generation of kids to survive NPC, which she truly does. So we kind of wanted to pay it forward and do that. And ultimately, like, our goal is to help save Marian's life and also help save the lives of other people fighting NPC. And really, it needs awareness, and it needs money to keep the research going. It needs those two pieces together. So we just started doing so that's how it came to be.
Wow. And is the government helping? Are you able to reach out for grants in that way? I'm guessing you might be able to get bigger money that way. Are there signs reaching out in that direction as well?
Yeah, our Hope for Marian isn't set up that way right now. I think we could grow that way in the future, but we just got Marian's diagnosis at the end of February.
Wow.
And we just started the files for the nonprofit over the summer. Yeah. So, we're still kind of playing catch up, and I could see doing that. And some other family foundations, they do have grant writers and they submit applications. Well, I shouldn't even say family foundations. There's also the Parsegian Fund at Notre Dame, which is probably the largest and oldest NPC foundation. And it was inspired by Coach Ara Parsegian, the famous football coach who recently passed, who 3 of his 4 grandchildren from one family, Cindy and Mark Parsegian, they passed away from NPC. Wow. And they really were the ones to get the ball rolling and helping to understand what NPC is. And my understanding is when their kids were diagnosed, they didn't even know what the NPC gene was. They didn't even have that identified. So I think some of the bigger foundations are able to apply for grants and the NIH, for example.
Wow. Well, there is going to be a cure one day. One day they're going to look back and say, thank God for people like Sara and other people who are really pushing not only to get awareness out there, but to also find a cure for this horrible, horrible disease. And I just want to thank you again, Sara, for coming to share your tips, your wisdom, and your story today on Savvy Business Radio.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You betcha. Now, everyone, please go take the Pucker Challenge today. Donate. Go to hopeformarian.org. Go to hopeformarian.org. And again, Sara, thank you for coming to Savvy Business Radio.
Find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest. Call 732-474-7375 or email Christina@savvybusinessradio.com.